I just I just realized that I could probably start that 30 seconds early because there is a delay between ourselves and LinkedIn Live. So even though we even though I feel like I'm starting at 11 o'clock my time, which is 2 Eastern time or whatever, ultimately I'm actually starting at like 11 and 30 seconds or something like that. I don't know. I am being nitpicky. Hello, everyone. It is time for the Thursday temperature check. I know it's been a bit. It's been a bit. The humorous part is I have a whole bunch that we recorded, and then we had some difficulty connecting the recording to LinkedIn Live. So those will be coming out as podcasts in the next little bit, and also as YouTube videos. So, anyways, many apologies. Hope that you're all doing fantastic. My name is Ben Klein. I am the owner of Geek Proposals and also a co-founder of Proposal Industry Experts, the chief recipe officer here. Rochelle Ray, my regular partner in this, is off doing some stuff today. She is the chief baker's officer of our organization. And in her place, I have I did it right this time. I absolutely Kevin Thompson. Kevin is a head of Thompson Consulting, the owner of Thompson Consulting, an organization in the Pacific Northwest. And then also, he is a member of our Baker's Dozen, helping advise us on all of the critical things that are happening in the industry. And also, for fun and excitement, he has decided to punish himself by helping us run this year's RF Win as part of our RF Win committee. So there you go. Hi, Kevin.
Hey Ben, thanks for having me.
No. Thanks for jumping on at the last minute there. It was a little
Yeah.
unexpected. We were hoping to be a different twosome today. Hi, Christy. So good to see you. Anyways,
Just for the record, it's not punishment to be on the planning committee for RF Win. It's a lot of fun.
it's a lot of fun. We do have some humor, but there's a lot of work, honestly, that goes into it. And I know we try very hard to compensate our speakers, and yeah, anyways, we should probably look at ways of compensating our volunteers as well, with something. Swag is always the thing, and it is the thing that makes me the most upset about because it's hard to do. One day someone will. Why can't AI figure out perfect swag? Like, why can't I just have like an AI tool where I type in, this is the swag I want, and it goes out and sources like the easiest way for me to make it that's the most ethical, that will ship to people's doors in a reasonable fashion. That's what
Environmentally responsible, sustainable manner. It sounds like a business idea.
I'm still working on this business. Let me table that one when this launches out. Anyways, so we're two consultants. So this is a lot of fun. So we could have like a little bit of a geek out right now about consulting in the industry and the state of proposals and stuff like that, and see how it goes from there. So talk me through it. Like for the audience that doesn't know Thompson Consulting, what is it that you all specialize in?
Yeah, so I started this company a couple of years ago after working in-house for many, many years, where one of my main responsibilities was managing proposals, and that was in what I would call the occupational healthcare industry. And so once I started Thompson Consulting, I've really sort of tried to stay in that niche. I definitely go outside of it from time to time, but mostly focus on helping companies, both in the commercial and federal space, that work in occupational healthcare. I do a bit with training organizations, but yeah, try to. I think one of my approaches in consulting is to try to be sort of niche to keep my market sort of focused, where I know people, where I have connections, and make a living that way.
Perfect. And how's that working out?
It's working good. The late last year, I had talked to a few people about some collaborations more in the federal market, and those have slowed a bit, to be honest. So having sort of the diversification between federal and commercial, a little bit state local, I think has been helpful for me anyway, in that I'm not just reliant on federal, where things, from my very much outsider's perspective, are a little different now than they were last year.
Okay, so that brings up an interesting point. Like you say you're an outsider, but you were thinking of pursuing federal contracts. Are you just saying that like that pipeline has dried up right now? Like, is that
It in To me, it has, in one respect, in sort of the collaborations. In another respect, one of my main clients was or is more Department of Defense focused, so that one is still going. But
yeah?
you know, in that, I would say I've had to, push a little bit more outside of federal to try to keep my pipeline full.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And honestly, I enjoy the commercial side of proposals probably a little bit more
Yeah.
than the federal. So that's kind of nice.
I will be very curious. A couple temp checks back, I indicated that a local company here in Vancouver has given me access to like a kind of DBA AI tool. So database administration AI tool that like can take much larger data sets that than you can normally stuff into like in a regular LLM, a commercial level or not a commercial level, but like a user facing LLM. Like ChatGPT and stuff like that. And there were a lot of people who actually sent me some great helpful emails. I totally forgot to create the group inside of Disco. I will do that. I will do that before the weekend is out. I promise. But one of the things that I was doing with that is I wanted to predict whether like the current administration's economic activity around tariffs was actually going to slow us down in 2026. Like whether people like myself, who lives and dies by my contracts, um, would be looking at like less proposals coming in 2026. And what I've discovered so far, interestingly, is because I have Canadian data that goes back about 50 odd years. I have US data that goes back quite a bit longer. UK data that, unfortunately, because I'm not a UK citizen, I can only acquire 25 years worth of. But definitely what we saw is after 2008, just shortly after, procurement volume dropped. A lot of companies were making a lot of decisions to like build internally or do things internally. State and municipal bodies like also did. So I'm kind of like watching for the hints of that,
Hmm.
uh, to see if that occurs. COVID was an interesting case in which it does appear that like commercial volume actually went up, but some of the state and local municipal volume went down, except in very specific areas, and then federal kind of stayed the same. So I don't know if I found like a clear through line yet in my data, or maybe I'm not asking it the correct questions. But I'm very curious to hear from other people what they're feeling in the industry right now. So do you
Yeah,
feel that you have enough volume at present? Like do you?
it kind of ebbs. I think that's one of the challenges of being a consultant, is just the ebb and flow of the business. At least for me, some days I feel like I'm, underwater, and other days I'm, back on the sales track, trying to identify new prospects to set up for further down the line.
Mhm.
But it balances out, and right now it's pretty well balanced where I want it to be for my business. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. That is always a challenge, honestly, in the consulting world. Do you ever find yourself with like too much work, and then you're like, oh, I could maybe have someone on board, but then I would have to like figure out how to
Yeah,
handle them when I'm
I,
low.
I, at least so far, I've made the decision. I don't want to be an agency. I don't really want to have employees. That was part of the reason for me getting out of being in house, is a lot of that management aspect of um, being in an organization with multiple people.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I try pretty deliberately to keep my schedule so I'm not getting over the top inundated with activity, and it works for the most part. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say it works all of the time, and I'm doing the same thing that everybody out there in the proposal industry is doing, where you're gonna once in a while work outside of normal hours or push the limits. Um, but I try to minimize that as much as possible, which has been successful. But as everybody here knows, with proposals, dates change, deadlines change, requirements change. People are available or not available, so you have to sort of flex to meet
Yeah.
whatever the need is at the time.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. And it's true. I like honestly, things are happening on the procurement side as well. Like I was working on a bid for New Jersey over the weekend. Um, bad me. And what ended up happening is they actually ended up extending it for 2 weeks on the Sunday. Like they sent out a notification through the portal. And suddenly it's like, oh, well, I wouldn't have had to work through the weekend if I could have like spaced this out properly. Obviously something happened internally for them that like they had to make that decision that like, hey, it's not going to be due noon on Monday. It's going to be due like 2 weeks from now.
Yeah,
So I'm sure that's not the perfect situation for them, but yeah, like you're right. We have to have a certain level of flexibility. We have to. These are interesting topics about like managing flows. I wish we like I know honestly, sorry, to go back to RF Win a little bit. Like we have a track called the kitchen sink, which is for consultants and stuff like that. And these are very interesting conversations that I would like to have inside that track. And maybe I need to go hunting for a speaker next time because I see that we do a lot around business development and stuff like that. But the actual like managing of like the uncertainty of like volume of business and like also keeping a work life balance when you're self-employed.
I would,
That's a real
I would
challenge.
love, I would love to attend that session if somebody, has some expertise in it. I feel like I'm making it up as I go along, to be honest.
I think that's the problem. I don't know if there's any like specific consultant that we could reach out to who's like, yeah, 100%. My weekends are my own, or I make sure that I take time for myself every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure it occurs. All right, interesting. So, and how about the relationship with your clients right now, though? Has anything changed with the coming of AI? Like, do you find that your clients are asking you different questions about how you work or about how they want you to work or anything like that? Are they investigating tools or are they thinking about changing their processes? Or
I find so for my clients are predominantly small businesses that
mm,
they're fairly unsophisticated with their AI use. So I'm most of the times introducing even the idea, not really the idea anymore, everybody's heard about it, but how it works in practice into a proposal with them. So it's, I haven't walked into a client that has a solid content management, AI tool system setup.
yeah,
And so it's interesting from the consultant standpoint is you're kind of starting from scratch each time and not always brought in. The ideal situation for me would be, oh, let me work on a retainer for you a few hours a week. We'll get the back end systems set up so that when the RFP drops, we can implement this. And, that happens from time to time, but far more often for me, I'm not out as far ahead. And clients are coming more when the RFP is imminent. So it's a little bit more of the firestorm of, okay, now we're just going to, build the ship as we sail it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And so it's a little more sporadic, not as well thought out as I would like to work in how to implement an AI system. And then my other challenge as a consultant is, I don't, different security requirements, different systems, different data management, content management systems, which might just be a stack of old proposals when you go into one of these companies. And then for me, I haven't figured out the perfect AI system for me to use personally for that sort of diverse group of companies where something could be universal. So I'm still looking for that. So if people have recommendations on what they're doing as a consultant from a AI system standpoint, I'd be more than happy to hear that.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of companies addressing like the small consultant market. And yeah, I mean, obviously, most companies like to get big deals because that's replicatable, or not replicatable, but like you get one big deal in and you can support multiple engineers, kind of thing, right? You have consistency. You know that the bills are going to get paid. Everything's going to be done. It's a little bit harder if you're building a tool and like the guy's like, yeah, like I could take a subscription of like 500 a month or 600 a month
Mhm.
to maybe cover your tool, but like nothing more than that.
At
Um,
one point in the community, Christina Carter made a note that one of the companies, AutoGen AI, was going to be launching a very cheap version of their platform for specifically for freelancers and consultants.
yeah,
And I was like, yeah, I'd like to learn more about that.
but I don't know if that did that ever come out. I don't think it did.
I don't think it did,
Yeah.
or at least I haven't seen anything yet. But something like that would be super interesting. It seems like a potential good avenue for the software companies to expose consultants to their program because they can have influence going into an organization.
Hmm.
But you know, yeah, if you're out there
Yeah,
listening,
and if it's reasonable enough, right? Like if there's a way to like provide multi-management, like one of the challenges that I had early on in my career is I purchased an RP360 instance for myself, and then I managed 11 clients' libraries inside there, all segregated. And like it wasn't a fantastic tool, but it was way better than like me going into their environment and like sorting through whatever server system slash SharePoint slash Dropbox that they had set up. Um, you know, and at least it gave me a starting point so that I could run things. But like I mean, it wasn't crazy expensive. It was 8,000 a year for me to maintain, and so I could just kind of like or not amortize, but like defray that across like to each one of the clients a little bit. But like, there's no thing like that for me now. I think that if I wanted to do like a responsive instance or a Lupio instance, like I would be looking at orders of magnitude more each year to maintain that. And even some of these smaller AI firms and stuff like that, like I don't see anything. Maybe Javier's deep RFP, but I need to take another look at that to see whether it would actually fit my needs or not. So yeah, real challenge. All right. So, but like, because your clients are not sophisticated, so at present, they are not worried about being more efficient. They're just happy to like, oh my goodness, Kevin, please ride in on your white horse and save my bid. Uh,
yeah, I'd say they're pretty low on the, if you're going to put it on a maturity scale. So that coming in with a process from start to finish that you would follow is a big step in a lot of cases.
mm,
Because they're not organizations that have dedicated proposal teams in house. So they've never, at least in the cases I've seen, haven't really been proactive about putting that system in place. It's a little bit more of a responsive, reactive approach to an RFP. So coming in with that system that like, okay, here's our deadline, here's when the RFP is going to drop. We have these steps along the way. These are what makes sense for this schedule and this team.
yeah.
Uh, Doing that, and then I'm a little bit of the I wouldn't say I'm great at any single aspect of proposals, but I can do graphics, I can write, I can review, I can project manage, like all of the things that a proposal manager does, or all the things that a proposal needs to get finished, I can bring to the table to help them with that.
Mhm. Okay. Interesting. Do you see an opportunity for small businesses? Like so of course I'm curious because I look at AI as possibly like the tractor for our industry. In that like my suspicion is it'll displace a lot of us in our profession within the next 3 to 5 years. Like it was humorous. One of my clients recently asked me like, how long do you think that you will have a contract with us? And I said I strongly suspect that like I have maybe 24 to 14 months with you at most, and like you will expect me as a good consultant to like bring in like AI tools that will eventually replace most of what I do for you
Yeah.
over that time period. So I am curious though, like is this situation where like small business will be slow to adopt because they have much more unique selling points than larger firms, and maybe that creates a space where like they will need proposal support for longer or something like that. Or do you see that like, oh no, like if I could hook them into some sort of AI tool, they could like go off on their own already? Is that was a long response, I apologize.
It was a yeah. Let me. Um, so one, I think there probably will be a lag from, you've talked a little bit about how organizations are already, saying no new proposal people, replace with AI instead of headcount, and maybe not seeing an immediate impact to win rates or results.
Yeah.
I tend to think that may not hold in the long run. I think the data set is probably too short to make the determination that AI can replace humans in proposals and have that be um, perpetual. Uh, I don't think that's the case. I take a little bit more optimistic view of it, but I think
Yeah.
organizations, um, you know, left to just thinking about bottom line and cutting costs and not necessarily thinking about long-term value, you might see proposal jobs going away and replaced by AI.
Yeah.
But there's when I think about this, there's a lot of things that a good proposal professional brings to the table that AI can't.
Mm.
And I'd rather look at it as a moment for the proposal profession as a whole to sort of seize this moment and elevate what we do as a group of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect opportunity to go from a deliverer of a service. That service is putting words down on paper and submitting them to a client, right, to try to sell something. What the shift can be is really into that strategic level. So yeah, AI can write. It can do that. Like, fantastic. I use it all the time. Write for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like, just writing from scratch is a huge time suck.
Yeah.
But if now we can take that time to, think more heavily about new strategy, new differentiators, how to articulate win themes better for a specific client and customize to that opportunity, that moves us from that service provider up into a strategic member of a sales organization.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Right.
think you've nailed it there. Like, uh, yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. And someone is commenting here. To me, the problem with eliminating the coordinators and thinking AI can replace them, we will lose the entire pipeline of talent. So in 5 years, we won't have people who can step into the manager roles. We just have people retiring. This is a big, Stephen. Good point. It's apt. It's what you see in the engineering industry right now. Like Claude, which is Amazon's Anthropic's AI, is really specialized in code base, and so you hear things like vibe coding, or people doing coding in multiple like languages and stuff like that. And what they're saying is that like it is the ability to turn a junior engineer into like a mid-level engineer and stuff like that. But they're still at the tech firm level, they still recognize the need for like senior engineers. And what the engineers are saying is like, hey, if you get rid of like juniors and mids, you displace those positions, stuff like that, you will have less senior engineers to call on, because like they do need to go through that trial and error to like learn their way into the thing. But Kevin, I really like your take on the idea of like moving upstream into strategy and stuff like that. And we've had these conversations before in Pi for our community. Like honestly, there is a lot to be thought. You really need to be thinking about like how you're skilling yourself and how you're presenting yourself, and either moving upwards or downwards as well. Like I noticed that APMP did indicate that you should be looking a little bit more at like contract management, life cycle, and stuff like that. And I think that honestly, that's also a good approach. Like if you wanted to move further into like the customer management process, then you can show value that way as well. So interesting stuff. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. So we do have some housekeeping, and then maybe like just a super quick, um, a super quick Tales from the Pitch or something like that. Um, anyways, uh, so Kevin, you're part of the RFWIN committee. I know that we just did a round of speaker applications. I'm proud to announce that all the speakers have been chosen for this year. There is an amazing lineup of really fantastic people, which means, of course, very soon we have to go to the early bird special. So I want to say that that's this week or not, sorry, next week that it's coming out. I don't have Rochelle here to like hold my hand through the marketing deadlines, but I think it goes out this week or next week, the early bird special. But
Yes,
uh,
I don't know the exact date either, but it's soon.
it's soon. It's soon. Watch your mailboxes, people. So early bird special will be coming out. This is our way of trying to get people into the conference, gauge interest. It will be, I think it's a hard deadline for kind of third week in June ish. Is sort of when it's going to go out. And once those early bird tickets are gone, they are gone. So if you are interested in coming to the conference, make sure that you get on it. If you are a member of Pi, the great news is you don't have to worry about any of this as long as you maintain your Pi membership up until RFWin, which is in August this year. Then you have no problems getting into the conference absolutely for free. So that is, 36-ish odd speakers and panelists, all presenting multiple hours of content for you and learning material and everything like that. Oh, there we go. And Lindsay, it is end of next week through to June 20th. Thank you, Lindsay. um, anyways, so yeah, so the early bird special is coming out, and yeah, go get your ticket and either that or maintain your Pi membership, and you'll be allowed access. And then we'll be announcing some other stuff coming along with it. Again, the great news about having an RFWin committee this time is that they are thinking new ways and doing interesting stuff. So really appreciate all of them. With that in mind, do we want to do quick tales from the pitch? I can do a quick tales from the pitch. Do you? Did I update everyone on my like my crazy bid where like they kept extending it or no? Um, I should not. No, you know what? I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave that one. I'm gonna leave that one for right now. Will do one where I ended up having to deliver in person. So being a Canadian, I rarely have to deliver bids in person. I do it all via FedEx because a number of my clients are in the Richmond or Vancouver area. That means it's YVR Airport. There are multiple FedEx offices around here so that you can just drop off your parcel and away it goes. There is also we are the West Coast FedEx hub for Canada, the YVR Airport. And so there is a FedEx office that is like open until late. And I don't know, Kevin, if have you had to deliver a printed bid ever at all?
I have, indeed.
I,
It's been a while, but
yeah. So I had a printed bid, super small. It was just two binders. But we foolishly we couldn't get pricing confirmation from our client in time. And so it was printed just slightly after the FedEx deadline. And so I said to the client, like, hey, why don't you pay for a hotel and I'll just drive it down, right? It was in Puget Sound, Washington. Uh,
oh
yeah,
yeah,
and I'm like, just pay for a hotel. I'll make it like a weekend kind of like overnight getaway with my girlfriend at the time. Yeah, and it'll be a lot of fun. And then I'll have a suit and like I'll present it to them first thing in the morning, sort of thing, right? Anyways, thinking that like this is going to be something super simple. So we get to the border or sorry, so they agreed. They said, yeah, no problem. Book a hotel room. Happy to do this for you. Blah blah blah. No problem. Thanks for being willing to like drive down. So I pack up a suit and everything like that, and I'm away to the races, ready to go. We hit the border, and this is before either of us had something called a nexus, which is if you're a Canadian U.S. traveler, Frequently a Nexus basically gives you your TSA pre-check. It gives you like rapid border crossing and everything like that. It's like Sentry if you're a Mexico US traveler and stuff like that. Anyways, we get to the border and they ask me, "Hey, what are you going down for?" And I said, "Oh, I need to deliver a proposal to a company in Puget Sound." And they're like, "Oh, you're here on business. Do you have a work visa?" And I was like, "I don't have a work visa. I'm only going down for this one thing." It was my very first time being pulled out of the lineup and being asked to come to customs to like explain what I was doing in the United States. And I'm there with my girlfriend and I'm like, I am so sorry about this. Cause she was just expecting to come down, have a little bit of fun, do a little bit of shopping. And like I would have to step away for 30 minutes to deliver this bid. And instead we get stuck in the customs office for 2.5 hours. Well, I'm trying to explain like, no, I'm really just like the equivalent of a FedEx delivery person right now. I'm not taking a job from a precious American right now. So, anyways, there you go. My minor kitchen nightmare, or not kitchen nightmare, but my tales from the pitch. Listen, it is Thursday. Hopefully, everyone's bids are in good shape. Hopefully, the sun is shining or the weather is good in whatever part of the world you are in. Hope that everything is doing great. Kevin, where can people find you if they need to get in contact with you?
LinkedIn is probably the best. Just Kevin Thompson. You'll find me on there.
Perfect. All right. And Kevin is also an avid member of our Disco community. If you haven't migrated your membership from our Better Mode community to our Disco, please do that. If you have any problems, reach out to admin@proposalindustryexperts.com, and we'll get you sorted out. Be safe out there. Have a absolutely fantastic weekend, and make sure that you take some time for yourself. All right. Take care, all.
Bye, everybody.